From a young age, really beginning in the 70s, I was attracted to alternative forms of spirituality. I wasn't raised in any religious tradition. My parents were agnostics and atheists. Anyway, I was very interested in alternative forms of spirituality, but my overarching kind of life's quest was to kind of discover and participate in the seeds of an emerging renaissance, or some kind. Sometimes we talk about it as a second enlightenment, right? Like, so during the 1700s, what we refer to as modernity, or the modernist worldview emerged. The age of science, the Industrial Revolution, lots of great things that came out of that. Lots of negative externalities as well, but it was a kind of a renaissance, or a cultural fluorescence. And so I've been, in a sense, I have had this intuition that there was a coming cultural renaissance that I could align myself with and help to bring about. And that led to my interest in beyond spirituality. It led to my interest in philosophy and art and lots of different fields. And eventually I came across integral philosophy, which is a philosophy that is focused on the evolution of human consciousness and culture, sometimes called the noosphere, right? The realm of thinking, or that recognizing human history as an extension of evolution, but one that can't be reduced to biological evolution, or It's like the third phase, wherein humans are actively trying to improve their life conditions. And that has led to the current state of our world's development, in this moment. So this is very interesting to me. I was especially interested in the philosophers that focused on noosphere evolution, and realized that this was my path. Began writing. My first book came out in 2007. I'm working now on my fifth philosophy book. This category of philosophy that I'm a participant in, the label that I use to define it is developmental philosophy, right? It includes process philosophy, integral philosophy, the philosophy of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin and other visionary thinkers who've recognized that now that we can see, really over the past few decades, it's sort of come into view that the universe is evolution happening, right? That the universe is this process of becoming in time. And the deeper significance of what we now know about our origins, I argue, hasn't been thoroughly digested by philosophy, right? The implications of the new truth about evolution is something that really can deliver all kinds of deeper meaning for our civilization, which we need at this time in history. So in 2013, you mentioned the Institute for Cultural Evolution. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. We founded that primarily to apply developmental philosophy to political problems, right? So we realized that climate change, for example, was a difficult problem even back in 2012 when we started the Institute. That there was insufficient political will in the United States for addressing climate change with the urgency that we thought that it needed. And after working on climate change for a little bit, we realized that part of the reason that the climate activism wasn't getting sufficient traction was upstream from the issue. It was political polarization, another kind of issue, hyperpolarization here in the United States, that was, in a sense, creating a democracy problem for climate change. So we shifted to focusing on political polarization throughout the 2010s, which led to my 2020 book, Developmental Politics, which is specifically focused on how understanding the evolution of culture and consciousness, that knowledge is actually highly relevant to addressing our hyperpolarization. So politics is still a big focus of my work, but beginning last year, the board of directors of the nonprofit said that the best way that our little organization can leverage your work, Steve, is for you to write another book. Right, so instead of being a political activist or nonprofit businessman, they said, look, we want you to write another book. And the book that I was called to write was on philosophy proper. And that's what I've been working on really for the past 18 months. And we can talk about that a little bit if you like. But that's the background of where I am right now as a developmental philosopher and social entrepreneur.